The slow creep of Democratic control continues. So you know how for the past like 40 years Democrats have been like, well, no one's coming to take your guns. We don't want to take your guns. We just want common sense gun legislation. That's all we want. Well, in case you're unaware, states across Democratic states across the United States of America have been passing assault weapons bans and all sorts of other goofy gun laws over the past, forever. But they've been building and building and building, even after the Bruins ruling by the Supreme Court stating that they essentially had no right to regulate any of these firearms that are in common use. They have still continued to find creative ways, let's say, to somehow dispossess or prevent people from gaining possession of these weapons that they, find scary. Now, they act like they find them scary because, they care about the public so much. But in reality, they find them scary because they're the exact type of weapons one would use to, I don't know, throw off the chains of an oppressive government, such as, the one the Democratic Party would like to impose upon all of us. Anyways, we've now gone from the banning of sale and transfer to sale of possession. Let's see what's going on in Rhode Island. Island House Bill 8073 2026 session, also known as H8073, is a proposed gun control bill that seeks to restrict the possession of certain firearms classified as prohibited. Here are the key details based on the 2026 legislative session. Objective: the bill amends existing law section 11-47.2-2 to expand restrictions from just the sale of certain firearms to include their possession. Impact on owners. Individuals who legally purchased or owned these firearms before the law's potential enactment would no longer be grandfathered in, meaning they would have to dispose of them. Deadline: if passed, individuals would have to sell, transfer, or destroy their prohibited firearms by December 31st, 2026. Exceptions. Exceptions are generally provided for law enforcement and military personnel. Now, we've seen the outlawing of the sale, purchase, and transfer of these weapons, as I said, in Democratic states across America. Rhode Island passed their bill last year. Illinois passed their bill 3 years ago. West Coast states have similar bills, or laws rather, at this point, outlawing this. But they all grandfathered in previous owners of these firearms so as to not make criminals of people that were up until these bills are passed following the law, and in truth are still following the law as set down by the Supreme Court. It is these states and these bills and laws that they are passing that are actually in violation of the true law, the constitutional law that actually governs this, as the Second Amendment does specifically cover our right to keep and bear arms. But as always, it's death by a thousand cuts. They push and they push and they push. And here we have Rhode Island finally going full mask off and outright saying that if you possess these weapons, we will come to your home and we will charge you with a felony. Now imagine that, folks. Otherwise, law-abiding citizens, taxpayers, people that mind their own business, do no harm to anybody, immediately turned into felons by a state acting directly in violation of the Constitution as interpreted by the Supreme Court. This is where we're at, folks. They do not care anymore. We are at war. If you don't get that, then I'm sorry, you're naive. You're a fool. Just because it hasn't gone kinetic doesn't mean that it isn't a war. These people are doing everything in their power to dispossess you of your civil rights, and first and foremost is the civil right to defend yourself against their tyranny. Wake up.